This question, we will begin this time with Candidate Rutherford. Resident sentiment is that we rarely see politicians or hear from them after the election. How will you continue to communicate with residents after the election?
I get that, and I've been told that as I walk. I've walked over 1,700 homes myself so far in the district. My wife got me this thing that tells me how far I walk, and I've done 250 miles since June, since my birthday in June. And that's one of the big things I hear. When are you coming back? When's the next time we see you? Is it going to be 4 years from now? No way. I was born less than a mile that way, Doctors Hospital. I live less than a mile that way to the south, right? And I'm not going anywhere. My favorite part of campaigning so far has been going door to door. I did it today on Thomas Avenue. I love this. I love this part of getting to know everybody, and it teaches me things I didn't know about what we need. So I'm going to keep it up. I'm going to keep going with that.
We have an opportunity because of technology to actually communicate more into 2015. We have commission meetings that are dreadfully long, that we often take time off work, sit in for 4 or 5 hours in order to be able to be heard for 2 minutes. I think that we need to move forward into the future, get with the times. We need to be able to dial in our opinions. We need to be able to reach our public servants by phoning, email, sending a video for your 2 minutes that goes in and shows your opinion. I think the city also needs to reach you. If it is important to any one of the constituents within all of our community, we should be able to find that information. It should be, the transparency should be done for us. It shouldn't be something that we have to do. I find a lot of disrespect in the current way that things are done, and I think we need to change that.
Candidate Sarnoff?
I've been walking door to door since January. I've gone through the district twice, and I'm on my 3rd time through. You have to talk to the people. You've got to talk to the residents. You've got to know what they're thinking. And this has been the best experience for doing that. And I think whoever's elected should be required to periodically walk through the district, because you see those potholes on the street, you see the broken sidewalks, you actually see all the problems and you can fix them. But you also get in touch with the residents that don't have time to come to City Hall, or they don't have time to come to a town hall meeting. You can go to their door and you can talk to them and see how you're doing. So, communication.
Candidate Simpson?
I think that one of the bigger problems we have with the commissioners staying in contact with the people is that we, at the moment, the commissioners treat it kind of like a part-time job. They do it a couple days out of the month. They're in the commission now. Commission meeting, they show up for CRA meetings. The rest of the time, they have full-time jobs somewhere else. That's not how world-class cities work. The people that run New York City do it full-time. The people that run San Francisco and Los Angeles, they do it full-time. This needs to be treated like a full-time job. It needs to be something that you commit to. You don't just show up on the 2nd and 4th Thursday and sit through a 9-hour commission meeting. You come to the meetings at halls like this. You go to the CRA meetings and listen to the public. You get out there and you talk to the people where they are. You don't force them to come to you. Technology is good. We're all interconnected on the internet now, and that's a good part, but it needs to be a full-time gig, and you need to put the time in to get out there and talk.
Candidate Palomino?
I'm not a new hat at this. I've been an activist for most of my life. My parents almost lost their house to eminent domain, which is now the Metro Rail. I lived it my whole life. I am not a fabricated candidate, and I have real accomplishments with the community, working with homeless, working with various foundations, organizations, and I can tell you, my promise is very clear. I am wanting to represent you. I want to restore justice back to the government, and I do not have high-powered lobbyists that have business interests with the city running my campaign. That's where it starts, and that's why you don't see them. It goes back to what I told you initially. Do your homework. If they're already taking that money, they will never be able to represent you as they are already compromised to do so. That's not transparency. That's being bought and sold before you land on that seat. So open your eyes and pick the right course.
Thank you, Flowers.
Solaris? Okay. I don't have to tell you that I'm going to be here. I've been here for all your issues that I mentioned at the beginning, the trolley, the upzoning, the gentrification. I've been here in your neighborhood. And some in this room have been at my house, because my house is open for everyone. Starting with Mr. Rashid, Mr. Pearson, many friends of Pearson's have been at my house. So my house is open for you. If I don't come here, you go get me. Very simple as that.
Candidate Gonzalez.
I told Morningside that if I lose, I ain't going there because this is where I am. You know I'm not going anywhere. Even if I lose, I come back as your village council. So you can't get rid of me. That's the worst part. You can't even get rid of me, even if you don't vote for me. So I'm not going anywhere. I've been around here for a while, and you've got me hook, line, and sinker, or as the old saying says, you had me at hello. And I'm here for all the needs, all the support, everything that I can do, not only as a commissioner, but as a village council chair. I'm here for you, so I'm not going anywhere.
Candidate Armbruster.
Please repeat that question.
The resident sentiment is that we rarely see politicians after the elections. What are you going to do to stay in communications with the residents?
Well, any resident in Coconut Grove can tell you, I didn't just appear out of thin air. I'm the second generation fighting with and for this community and for the people in this community. And so to fight for you is a fight for me, because if you have all your needs met, then I know that we all have security with one another. So I don't subscribe to political politicians. I don't subscribe. I don't want any politician to endorse me, because if they do, you know I'm corrupt. I don't want any developer, any money given to me for a campaign, because you knew if they do, you know I'm a puppet on the string, and Jesus is not the puppeteer. So vote for me is saying that I would marry you because you have a history of fighting with and for the people. And vote for a stranger, you'll want a divorce shortly after, but you gotta wait 4 years and hope that you can survive the 4 years.
Thank you so much. Okay. We're going to move to a question about crime and reality and perception and what we would do. According to Commander Morales, crime in West Grove has steadily decreased. However, there is a perception of higher crime than actual. What would you do to maintain the downward trend of reported crimes? Also, how would you alleviate the perception that Village West is high in crime? And what are your thoughts on this crime? Candidate Sardoff, you have this one.
Well, you want a seamless city. You want to be able to go into any part of the town and feel safe. Right now we're at 2 officers per 1,000 residents, and we've been at that course for almost 10 years. We need 4 officers per 1,000 residents, and that will enable us to do community policing, where we can have the officers in the neighborhood and they would be reflective of the neighborhood. So the community would get to know them, they would be able to interact, and there would be more interaction as far as crime solving, and it would take away that perception of crime. Thank you.
Well, The officers in this community and communities in the city of Miami, they bid on locations. So what I would demand is that any police officer assigned to Coconut Grove, that they be assigned here for a 5-year period, rather than coming in for 6 months or so and then they bid out of here. Something has to work with the city manager, and the mayor. They have a relationship that's like wet and water, because the city manager works for the mayor, and the city manager is currently considered himself by his actions to be the 6th commissioner, and we only have 5. See, so the city manager basically is the one that awards these emergency contracts, so that the people who don't have the work can get the work. So everything is an emergency.
And this is something that I've said over and over. What I enjoy about this endeavor is actually meeting people and talking with people. Now, as a real estate agent, that's pretty much what I do most of the day anyway. So I enjoy this interaction, this give and take, this meeting folks, and I think as a commissioner, you have a lot of things on your plate on the back end, but the staff can do a lot of that work. I think you hire and you elect this person, you elect me, and I think you want to see me in the community. And I think you want to see me walking the areas and walking communities and being at meetings. Be they a 3-person meeting for Crime Watch that I go to, where only 3 people show up. I think you need to be involved in the community on a daily basis, just be present. So I think engagement, and I think that'll help a lot on the policing side of it as they start to see that. It's a perception. Perception becomes reality.
Candidate Wood?
We have a multitude of problems when it comes to public safety. I live in the downtown area. There's a lot of synergy with the West Village. We have streets and areas where we have what we call crime lighting. We reached out actually to the DDA in order to get the lighting brightened, in order to get more officers on the beat. Right now, we don't have enough officers. There is budgeted money to add over 1,300 officers. However, the start to end result is about 16 months. So we were going to look at about 5 years in order to get the right amount of officers to truly create a safe public environment. We have to think outside the box. We have to look at potential of private officers to work in tandem with the officers as a Band-Aid solution in order to get people out in the community and communicating and walking the streets with brighter lighting, and I think that, in a sense, helps.
Candidate Palomino?
I worked with, during the time of Chief Timoney, with community policing model. I was part of every type of when they did roll call, they knew every person's name in my neighborhood, they knew what issues they had, and together we formed, and it was the first and unfortunately the last barbecue on Virginia Key. I don't know if any of you remember that, but it was under Commander Alonzo Whitehead, who is now retired and is probably one of the most respected officers I have ever in my life had the pleasure of working alongside with as an activist in Crime Watch. I learned a lot. We need to bring it back. It can be done, but we have to work together and you have to be involved. I challenge you to take your city back. That's what you need to do. You need to be involved.
Thank you very much. We're going to Candidate Simpson?
As far as crime prevention and keeping the crime rates falling, of course, adequate policing is good for that. And we want our police to be community servants as well. We want that to protect and serve. We don't want them out there trying to be implements of social change. But as far as the perception of neighborhoods, I think we need code enforcement going hand in hand with that. I live on Grand Avenue and my building gets visited by code enforcement every couple of years to remind us that we need to paint our building. And yet, 4 blocks down, half of Grand Avenue's got buildings that haven't been painted in almost a decade and are falling apart. But where's the code enforcement for them? If people drive down a street that looks like that, regardless of what the neighborhood actually is, they get that perception. So to fix the perception, we need to make sure that we're coming down on the people that are making the neighborhood not look like that. So that the neighborhood looks like the homes that people actually live in, the people that take pride in it.
Candidate Solaris?
Yes. I have to agree with Javi that we need total engagement. In walking the West Grove, I went to a house next door to Old Smoky. And they were telling me about shootings that happened at Old Smoky. And I said, well, you call the police, you have a substation right there. He says to me, that is a joke. That substation there was created to protect, as they said, the East Grove from the West Grove. What? And he says, yes, ma'am. That's exactly what happened. They take 15, 20 minutes, and we have one substation right there. I think engaging is extraordinarily important to bring the community with the police. We need to get you together with the police, everybody, and try to actually, can you hear me? No? And try to engage the police with the community. It's extraordinarily important. So I will work to do that.
Candidate Russell?
Yeah, perception versus reality is important because this substation that Grace mentioned, here's a case of where we've tried to create a perception of safety and policing, where the reality is, what time does that substation close? And what time does the crime happen? So we got to put the cart before the horse, or the horse before the cart, in the correct way. And one thing is having a good, healthy police force. Commander Morales is a great commander. I've spent a lot of time with him, and here you've got a commander who loves and cares about your community. And if you've ever had a break-in or a crime and had to deal with him, you can feel it that he cares, that he's there for you. So you've got the reality of the heart. But even he's the first to admit he's working with a police force that has low morale because the city has managed them poorly. Needs to be done better.
The next question, thank you, comes from the organizations. Do you know what a neighborhood development zone is? Can you educate the community and how you would work with it to benefit the community? Candidate Woods, would you begin?
So we're talking about the bid? Is that what you're asking me for the?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'm sorry, when you said neighborhood development, I'm thinking you're talking about a bid, so I'm just
Do
making
you
sure.
know what a neighborhood development zone is? You educate the community on how you would work with it to benefit the community.
Yes, well, my understanding is that it is a development area where the businesses put money in order to improve the community in that area. And as a commissioner, I would work with that to continue to improve it. I think that currently there's one in the Center Grove area, but there aren't the bids throughout all of the Grove. And I think that would be something that would be beneficial. We have CRAs, which is another situation where you get revenue in that is up in the north end of the district. And then in downtown, we have the Downtown Development Authority that does similar things.
Candidate Albertson?
Yeah, neighborhood development zone. Glad you asked, because Coconut Grove is a neighborhood development zone. They're developing this neighborhood to be certain that none of the people that have been here for generations will remain here. That's what a neighborhood, because they're developing, one lot has now 2 homes that no one in this community can afford. And when they changed the zoning, it was done without the community's input or amen.
Amen.
So we are a neighborhood development zone, can't you see? We're moving Homestead. We can't stay here. That's what a neighborhood development zone in its application. And we are victims of being a neighborhood development zone.
Yes.
And that's an amen, bro.
Candidate Solaris?
Get an amen.
Tito, I agree with Mr. Ambrose, sir.
Candidate Russell?
That's a much more exciting answer than the technical boring part of what an NDZ and the overlays are, and we have those, and those are tools that we can use to adjust the code for a certain neighborhood so that we can develop it properly. And there are many things that need to be done like that. These overlays are very effective, and if they're used properly. So.
Candidate Palomino?
Well, just like CRAs here that are used as slush funds, and now we have $14 million being used for artificial turf contracts. A lot of, after the budget, a lot of gifts to family and friends, I'd say, because they know it's the changing of the guards, and they know that commission's changing, and they also know that things are fertile ground for all sorts of interesting things. But this community has important legacies in it that need to be respected and they need to be promoted. I can't, what you said was fabulous. Unfortunately, it requires you to be involved and for you to, once again, you know, you have to give your input. Otherwise, they know you're distracted and they're just going to go in there and do whatever they want. And you will feel the impacts and the ramifications of their decisions because you were not involved.
Candidate Simpson?
This is another one of those perception versus reality issues. There's a big disconnect between what one of these actually is in practice and what it should be. The person in the commission seat should know the difference between developing a community and developing the community. The community is the folks that are already there, the people who live there, and helping to develop that community to grow in a healthy way. If you get a developer that comes in and shows the shiny display with, here's what we're going to, we all remember 3 or 4 years ago, there was a development that was going to revitalize Grand Avenue from 37th to McDonald. And it just never happened. They were going to create a neighborhood. The people in that chair need to work to develop the neighborhood that's here so that it can grow and still maintain the heart of the community.
I need to add, if I may for a second, the redevelopment that occurred on Grand Avenue was only for the purpose of upzoning, so that when they flip the land, it'll be more expensive.
Exactly, that's right.
Candidate Gonzalez?
The question was, explain a neighborhood development zone. And so far from the candidates, we've heard, and by the way, I have no idea what a neighborhood development zone is because I haven't used it. It's an NDZ. I've heard ND2, I've had CRAs, and I've heard MUSP, which is a master urban plan. So personally, from a neighborhood development zone, from the technical standpoint, I have no idea what it is. Now, I can guess. I don't want to guess. So if the question is from a POTA person, I'll be more than happy to meet with you, discuss it, and get a little bit more technical on it. But honest to God, I have no idea what it is.
Candidate Sarno?
The neighborhood overlay is designed to protect the neighborhood and keep the neighborhood atmosphere. And so it limits the height, such as on Grand Avenue, to 5 stories. So it's for guidance. Thank you.
We have a question about our youth. When do you propose to increase youth development, enhance their skills, offer recreation that keeps them safe, and sets them up for success? How will you inspire them to take pride in the Village West neighborhood so that they may become the next generation of leaders? We're going to start over with someone going first, so let's go with Candidate Armbrust.
Candidate Armbrust, I'm already involved with the youth in this community with the Drug Free Coalition, and I am the liaison between Ponce de Leon and the parent in this community. And what we want to prepare our children for not just careers, but for professional career. Because you know, a busboy, dishwasher, that's a career. But we want to prepare our youth for professional careers. We're going to start by not allowing our children to be suspended and not having the parents or guardians being informed of that suspension. We have to continue to let them know our history in this community and guide them towards professional careers. Everyone can't be a professional, but everyone can be a dishwasher leader.
Candidate Palomino.
Well, as an educator for 19 years, I think I can safely say that I have worked actively. I brought foundations, worked with them, for instance, the Marlins Foundations. I work at a school where it has the highest number of immigrants and the poorest students. Students that live in cars with their families, students that are actually evading ICE raids 2, 3 o'clock in the morning where they're literally ripped out of their beds, and families that are torn apart. So this is something that's very close to my heart. You need to keep them engaged. The moment they're not engaged, there are problems. They will fall into the wrong hands. You have to have mentorship programs like the Explore program that the police does have, the Explore programs, and educate them, engage them, keep them active, and with different organizations. That's the key.
Candidate Gonzalez.
I think as a leader, you need to be authentic. You need to be who you are. And I think one of the things that we see is a lot of folks get up here and just kind of say stuff that sounds pretty and sounds really nice. But the reality of it is, if we're going to protect the kids, we have to have a mentoring program. But we have to have a mentoring program from folks that come from the same place, not from another place, not from another area. But we have to understand the difficulties that we go through when we start in a more humble beginning, let's call it that. And I think you have to be really aware. So when you're mentoring a child or you're mentoring young adults, you're coming from where they came from. And you're saying, you know what, I understand this. I've been there. I have done that. But you know what, you can accomplish these things. And we have to have local success stories come back, and I would encourage that. And as a commissioner, that's something that I would really work for. So I think it's a good thing.
Commissioner Candidate Sarnoff.
We need opportunities for our young. We need to create these opportunities. We need parks programming to help teach them. There was a Venture Hive program in Burritt Park that taught 6 to 8 graders on presenting and coming up with a tech product. We need more things like that. We have to have involved the community. The community has to embrace it as well. We have a whole row on Florida Avenue of retired teachers that we need to get involved. We need to get the community involved with the kids and support programming. Thank you.
Candidate Russell.
Youth issues are very dear to me because I have a 13-year-old boy, a 2-year-old girl, and a 1-year-old girl that I'm raising right now here in the Grove. And I'm teaching them to be the next generation of leaders for their community. I ran a fundraiser that I started for Camilla's house. Raised a little bit of money. My son was involved in that from the start. We took that box of cash and walked it over to Camilla's house and we presented it in person because I wanted to learn that feeling of giving back to his community in a good way. I started a fundraiser with the Orange Bowl Committee for Big Brothers Big Sisters, youth mentoring issues. Out of scratch, we got together and made an event that happens every year for the last 6 years. It's raised $125,000 for Big Brothers Big Sisters and youth mentoring. Those are the big programs. I've also met with Big Brothers with Boys and Girls Club. But we need to support anyone in the community that is helping support youth. Where's One Grove? They need help. Where's Barnyard? They need help.
There we go.
And this is the local thing that we need to do to build up youth because I believe that children are the future.
His children are the future, and so are my grandchildren. One of the things that I would work with, and I want to very, very strongly, is work with the school system. I think the city of Miami has many buildings that can be used to work in conjunction with the city of Miami. That trolley building that is empty right there, the city could actually go in there and purchase that building and convert it into a tutoring center. I read a tremendous amount of things that said the more educated the community, the less crime that will exist. And make it into a thing for the youth.
I think the biggest part of engaging the youth is to make sure that we're sending a consistent message. We can't send people into the community to help with mentoring from 4 to 6 on Friday if the police are stopping people for just walking down the sidewalk on Saturday. The community leaders have to show respect to the entire community so that everybody in the community has a sense of pride in that community. We can't send one message on one day and one message on another. Basketball programs at Vyrick and gymnastics programs at Peacock and music programs and after-school tutoring are great, but if we don't treat the entire community with respect, it's just lip service. So we can't go to a commission meeting and try to sell off a block of the community and then expect the young people to show pride in that same community. We have to lead by example.
Candidate Wood?
No, I believe that we need to take the amount of money that we're spending on incarcerating our youth, and we need to put that money into our children from birth at day one. I think we need to pay educators more money, and we really need to look at investing in our future. Because when you look at children, if we don't want to start at 5 or 6 years old, but we honestly want to start when they are 3 to 6 months old. And let's get out there and let's look at turning the tide. We have way too many children that are incarcerated. The amount that costs us is out of control. We would pay about 1/3 of that amount to actually help our kids from birth on.
That's right, that's right.
Thank you very much. We're going to begin this time with candidate Palomino. The proposed senior housing, Gibson Plaza, will not be available for another 12 to 18 months. How can you help us take care of some of our most vulnerable, our elderly, who often don't qualify for financial assistance and are being targeted for being pushed out?
That's Stirrup Plaza.
Stirrup Plaza.
Stirrup, yeah.
Okay. Stirrup Plaza.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, this is an epidemic. It's not something that is easily solved. They have to be provisionally housed somewhere else. I mean, you have to put them somewhere. You can't just leave people out on the street. And they have plenty of places that they can do that with. The elderly have to be taken care of. I think that's just a no-brainer we have to find a way as a community to house them until it's ready.
I think we have to offer some assistance in the interim. I think that so many programs are in place going forward to the future, but over the next 12 to 18 months, the city has a budget surplus, and we can offer incentives, we can offer money so that we can assist our elderly. I think the way that we look at our community and how we treat our people of need really is a major reflection onto all of us, and I think we need to take care of everybody.
Seth.
Right. All is good.
Can you give him all the questions?
Our last candidate has arrived. And we'll give you a chance to slow down, but our last candidate has arrived. We're going to give you an opportunity, if we may, Mrs. Flurry, to introduce yourself. You've got a couple of minutes. Tell us about you, about your candidacy, Then we will begin, I'll re-ask the last question, and we'll pick it up from there, and you have 1 minute to answer. Not just you, everybody. I want the microphone.
Hi, my name is Seth Squarey. I've lived in Coconut Grove for 48 years. I've lived in South Grove and I've lived in West Grove. I represented both on the Democratic Executive. I got selected 8 times. I also represent you on the Coconut Grove Village Council. This is the second go around on the Village Council. And of course we represent all of Coconut Grove, including a little part of Coral Gables over there too. I'm running for City of Miami Commission. I want to be your voice. I don't like some of the things that's happening in West Grove. And, there's a gentrification of West Grove that's going on. And what's happening is that a community that used to have 15,000 people now is down to about 3,000. And a lot of people have been squeezed out. A lot of people can't afford to live here anymore. The property values have gone up, and the taxes have gone up. And then, if you want your children to live here, they can't afford it. And unless you're grandfathered in with a low tax rate, by the 3%, that is the maximum they can raise it. But once an older person passes away, then that tax rate pops right back up, and you're paying 4 or 5 times as much. Now, there are a couple of groups that are doing some affordable housing in the Grove, and God bless them. But for the most part, it's developers coming in, they're buying at a lower price, they're buying for whatever they can, and then they build something, and then the price is right at the moon. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll re-ask the question.
Stay down.
It is about the senior housing.
Don't stand up.
It won't be available for another 12 months, but it is more about what are you going to do to take care of some of our most vulnerable, our elderly, who often don't qualify for financial assistance and are being targeted for being pushed out. Mr. Scarlett, would you like to go ahead and answer? No one's using the microphone for the answer. You have 1 minute.
I'm 70 years old, and I'm in that group. I make maybe $17,000 at my job, and I make another $9,000 with Social Security, and the rest is unemployment. And I have to struggle to pay for food. I have to struggle to pay for medicine. I get Medicare, but the co-pays take half my salaries, and food takes the rest. So I know what you're going through. And what we need to do is to have ways to help people. There are a number of programs that are available to help people, but most people aren't aware of them. And some places like Gibson House is aware of it, and they help people along with it. There are some county programs, there are some federal programs, but we have to make them more available, and we have to educate people as to what is available for help.
Candidate Solarius.
Yes, I'm not too clear about this question. Are you specifically talking about steroids?
No, we're talking about the elderly who don't qualify for assistance. How can we help them in terms of remaining in their homes, having a comfort of life, and COVID?
This is where the government comes into play. Because I believe that government has a social obligation, and the leaders have a moral obligation with the community. We have many, many people on that list that you just mentioned, and we just cannot forget about them. government should also engage the private sector to come and help those that cannot help themselves. So I think it would be an effort between the community, also contact the religious organizations that can help, and the community helping each other, helping everybody pitching into it. But I think government should take this, the biggest crumb of this one.
Candidate Armbruster.
Well, when you're talking about the senior citizens across the street, the buildings, you know, it should be clear that that building will be built in the community, but not for the community.
Say it again.
This community, like many others, have been scammed time after time, saying what we're going to do here as if it's going to be for you that are here. So we need to be very careful when we give our amen to anything that's going to be built in this community to make sure our name is in the book. That's what needs to be done. And as a commissioner, every senior, my position is for children, seniors, the working men and women who are invisible to politicians, and everybody else who's willing to get themselves settled in and qualify for home ownership. Amen.
Since the building is going up, it is supposed to be for the community, I would definitely make sure that there is a commitment on the part that anybody that is displaced goes to the top of the list to get back into it once it's completed. In the meantime, the commissioner and the city government would have to take the lead and bring together those parts of the community, the private sector, the religious organizations, the community organizations, and make sure that the members of the community that are displaced are taken care of, not just, okay, they have a place to, a roof over their head, they have the medical care they need, but also to make sure that they remain a part of the community in that 12 to 18 months that they're gone. That it isn't just, oh, we found them a place to live in Kendall, but also that they have a way to get to the church that they've been going to, the market.
Candidate Gonzalez.
It's kind of to me it reads like two questions in one. What are we going to do with individuals that are currently here and waiting to go to housing? So I think it's really two questions. First of all, on the housing aspect, to get that housing, I think you have to have some type of chain where we are looking at folks from this neighborhood getting a first shot at the properties. But more importantly, I think maybe something that we need to really start to think about is some of the surplus funding that we have as a city of Miami, because that's the second part of the question. What will the city of Miami do? Is we've committed a lot of money to the homeless trust, to MATS, and that's from a homeless situation. Maybe if we have some extra money, maybe we should start putting it into local programs that can be distributed either through churches or through faith-based groups or whatever area that we can actually use this funds for that interim time as we are waiting for housing. So I think if that money is available, we should be able to use it not only here, but also in Little Havana and also in areas that we need elderly housing.
Over, and the older people were asked to leave. They were given a deadline for leaving, and they were all up in arms. So I spoke to the developer that had bought the building, and they were able to give an extension for leaving, but we also contacted the county to try and place them in a nearby, so that you have to work with different groups in order to facilitate this, but we have to take care of our own. Thank you.
Candidate Russell.
There's a lot of ways to judge and measure a city. I think that a city should be judged and measured by how it takes care of those who can't take care of themselves. And we have an obligation as a city to do so for our elderly. you know, it's good to see that Stirrup House is going to get some redevelopment, and there's actually a Stirrup House volunteer I see in the back here, and I've been going there several times to meet with the folks that are there to see what the quality of life is there and how things are going. You know, we really need to prioritize taking care of the elderly in our community, and one of the things we can do is to not let development prey on them. If somebody's just hanging on by a thread in their home, and I've met with the developers who are actually proud of having those living room conversations where they buy someone out of their first month, last month in shipping, and off they go to what that developer would consider a better place. And I think we need to prioritize anchoring them in place and taking care of them.
Thank you. We're coming down to the end. We're going to ask our last question. It is another test. It's a two-part question. Following that question, when everyone completes the round, we will then go to our 1-minute closing statement. So, in one sentence for each of the two parts, what is one success that you have already achieved for Village West? And what is your #1 priority for our neighborhood the day you step into office? Let's begin with Mr. Lawrence.
Okay, one success you said?
One success you've achieved with,
And?
and the next question, what is your #1 priority the day you step into office?
Okay, very good. One success. I fought together with Pierre Sams the issue of the trolley. It required him, we bumped heads against the wall in order to get it there. But we were able to get pro bono lawyers from the University of Miami who represented them. And there are other avenues that the federal government came in and actually they prevailed on that issue.
I'm going to jump on you now. What would you do the first day you step into office?
Make certain that I come back here, ladies and gentlemen, and that you see me, and that you know that I'm going to come back here and be with you. That after I get elected, I'm not going to wash my hands like Pontius Pilate and come back here 4 years later when I need your vote again. So I'm going to be back here again the following day.
Mr. Armbruster.
Well, got multiple, but I'll start with correcting the one the young lady here mentioned. It's because of Williams Armbruster and Ministerial Alliance and those law students that come there. They came and they came in and they went to the city of Miami and verified that what Williams Armbruster said was that was a industrial building, not commercial. They tried to slip it through in the commercial, but it's industrial. So they went and verified that what Williams Armbruster said was true. When Pierre Sands endorsed the trolley, in case you're not aware, but then when it came up, when it surfaced, I'm telling you what is true.
And what would you do?
What would I do?
On the first day
On
you
the
stepped
first
into office?
day, I would
your #1 priority.
my #1 priority is to let everyone in the district, Coconut Grove, Little Haiti, and everywhere in between know that there is someone, righteousness has shown up. And everything that is needed will be addressed. And this is not a promise, this is a guarantee. Because my integrity stands on my guarantee. So, don't mess around.
Thank you. Let's give Ms. Woods an opportunity.
What I'm starting right now is beginning the conversation. So my success thus far has been reaching out into the community, starting a conversation, getting an understanding of really what's important to the people of West Village. District 2 is a collaboration of so many different neighborhoods. and hearing what residents want in each area is of most importance. From day one, the first thing that I would do is to begin the solution process and to start with what's number one most important in the West Village. Some of the things I've heard are relatively simple, such as street sweeping and having them done regularly. There are also things that are much more difficult, but I think that all in all, it's being focused in each community and serving the citizens.
Candidate Swindle.
I would say the best success was a gentleman that I met on the MAP program in the Camillus House. He was, unfortunately had a lot of problems, and I spoke to him, and about a couple of months later, I went to a church in the Village West, and he had gotten a job there, and he came over and reintroduced himself and said that, thanked me and said that that program really helped him. So that was.
And what would be the first thing that you did?
First thing I would do is get a phone tree going with all my girls here in Village West that I've been speaking to, and open up the lines of communication and make sure that we're all on the same page and keep those lines open.
Candidate Gonzalez?
When I was elected to the village council, one of the first things that came up is why is there this demarcation line between 32nd Avenue and the rest of the village? And one of the things that I felt that we needed to do was to bring that together. And while it sounds very simple, we go back to perception being reality. And the simple effort of bringing the benches, changing them out, beginning to see improvements within it. We're working on getting the baskets going on, which move along. But one of the things that we're really, really proud of is that we're going to get a billboard, a signage where all of the community meetings will be available to the public. I hear a lot of times that public says,
And what would you do on the first day?
first day of office, come back and let's talk, let's see what the community needs. What do you need from me as a commissioner? That's what my job is.
Candidate Simpson?
Honestly, the most successful thing I've done so far is I made it onto this dais and onto the ballot. I'm somebody that works a 60-hour week. I spend 12 hours a day on my feet. I mean, it's a very hard thing to do, and I understand why there are very few people that wear the blue collar and work for a living that actually try to run a campaign.
And now that you have, what would you do on your first day?
First day, I would set up a definite schedule of community meetings throughout the entire district. Every first Monday, one neighborhood. Every second Tuesday, another neighborhood. So that there is a regular communication line directly to the commissioner's seat. So that the regular people, the people who live in the neighborhood can be there.
Candidate Russell?
Before I was walking and knocking doors or even campaigning, I was working with the Old Smoky Steering Committee and the Center for Ethics and Justice under Professor Alfieri and all the students at UM. And I walked door to door trying to learn about a cancer cluster that is from the Old Smoky days. Because there was a study and it did find a cluster, but it got shut down mysteriously. And so, you know, we went out and formed a questionnaire and we worked on it and we walked door to door looking for that. That's one thing that I've done.
First day in office.
First day in office, I like to start to set the tone for a culture change of ethics in City Hall. That's a very lofty thing and it's not very tangible. Something I'd like to do very tangible for this community. I was walking Thomas Avenue this afternoon and I saw the grand reopening of the Domino Park, and it was an embarrassment. 2 years closed and they did nothing. Still rusty gates, broken tables, and it's an embarrassment. So that's something that I want to really make a park look like it should, and that's what I want to come into.
I've been around the Westboro for quite some time. I didn't just start here because I'm running for office. I'm actually a signee on the Old Smoky. I'm very proud of my Buy from Miami plan, and as a proponent of historic preservation, I applaud Dr. Linda Williams because she took a historic house that would have been demolished and turned it into a shower ministry. I donate profusely to that ministry and tell everyone, promote it, and I tell everyone to continue the fight.
And your
I will
personality
preserve, respect, and promote the west of the Village West.
And Larry, you have the last word.
Thank you. You know, I always consider myself an environmentalist. In Coconut Grove, we have a lot of trees. I was kind of impressed with Johnny Appleseed when I was a kid. So I plant 100 trees a week, and I've been doing this for over 25 years. You know, sometimes they're little seedlings, sometimes they're seeds, fruits, avocados, mangoes. I plant them all around the grove, and when they fruit, which takes a few years, I share them with the people around the grove. First day in office, I'd like to come up with a comprehensive plan for redoing the community, for redoing, especially along Grand Avenue. We came up with a fabulous plan with a charrette, with Elizabeth Clinton Zyberg and a number of good folks from the University of Miami School of Architecture to make Grand Avenue a community avenue where you have community stores where people would live and work in the same area. And this is part of new urbanism, and it's a great concept. It would bring people back into the community. It would make affordable housing, affordable living areas.
Thank you. We're going to now give an
He's making up for
opportunity
not being here.
for a closing statement.
Sure, yeah, 1 minute.
We have 1 minute each.
Well, let's make it a little less than 1 minute.
If you don't need the whole minute, don't.
But we've asked you a lot of questions. Most of these questions have come from the organizations. A lot of these questions have come from the organizations. They've come from the people in the audience. Now you have an opportunity to give your closing statement and possibly leave us with something that you want us to know that we haven't had. So let's begin again. Mrs. Larry, you have the floor. You go first, Mr.
Yeah, I'm on the street every day. I'm either bicycling or walking through the neighborhoods, and I've been in West Grove for the past 20 years. And I'm through the neighborhoods day and night. I see what goes on. I see the good, I see the bad. And we need more of the good and less of the bad. And you all know
Candidate Wood.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. What I believe is necessary in order for improvement of our city is honestly empowering each one of you. I think that we need to really listen to community leaders and stakeholders, and each neighborhood, each community needs to run their own community, and it doesn't need to come from the city. So I would be all about empowering everyone else. Thank you.
Candidate Simpson.
If you come away with one thing for tonight, please remember that most everything you heard from the podium up here is not going to mean anything if you don't show up on November 3rd and vote for one of us. Make sure that your voice gets heard. One vote doesn't seem like a lot, but especially in the Grove, the more people show up, the more representative it is. So, show up, be heard, bring your friends.
Candidate Solaris.
Yes. I've been doing things for the West Grove for many, many years, as you've heard. With the thought of running for office being the last thing on my mind. Today I'm here to ask you to consider what I said to you, the work that I've been doing with you and with the members of your community, particularly HODA, that I work with for 5-6 years. This is not anything new to me. Fair and justice to me is the most important thing. And no community should be left behind because special interests must prevail. I will not do that. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you, for coming tonight. I see so many familiar faces out here, and I know that you care, and I know that you're going to vote. But I have a task for all of you. It's not just about who you choose. I need you to find other people to vote. If you Google West Grove vote, someone here has put a lot of work together. It has nothing to do with me, in trying to get the vote out in West Grove. And they've got videos, and they're trying to encourage people to get out, because there is nobody in this city that has more at stake right now than you. And you can multiply your vote. Every one of my walk pieces has 2 absentee ballot application forms. All of you are probably going to go to the polls, so I'm going to ask each of you to grab a couple of those and get some people to fill out absentee ballot application forms. Beyond that, choose who you think can win this race. I know a lot of you know what you don't want. You're here tonight to see what you do want. And I hope you consider finding someone who can get in there and get solutions done. It's what I've done all my life, and I want to do it for you. So thank you.
We've got several candidate forums now, and tonight is the most attended candidate forum that we've been to. So I applaud you for coming out and taking the interest in the candidates for District 2. That Coconut Grove is one grove, and we need to keep that in mind. We are all one grove. Amen. And we're all here together, and we need to bring all of everybody together and forward. We can't leave anybody behind. So this is one Coconut Grove. Remember that.
And one of this says love the Grove, and I can't stress it enough. I'm a local kid. I care. I want to help. I know the game. I know how it's played. I know how it's played against you. You need somebody on your side that knows how to play back. I'm not going to take BS from anybody. I'm always going to be here for you. I'm accessible to you. You've seen me around. I go to the meetings. I talk. I explain. I try to give you everything that I have. Everything that I have, I've committed to you. Know that. Win or lose, I'm not going anywhere. But know that I know the game that's being played against you. And I know it well. Thank you.
Candidate in front of you.
I challenge you to take your city back. I've always been here, irrelevant of any politics. I am not owned by lobbyists. I am not owned by handlers. I am here transparently, only with one purpose, representing you. Like I said, our waters, our politics, and our parks are polluted. I almost died from toxicity, lost twins, and I lost my husband to environmental cancer. When I entered as a signee with the old smoking steering committee, believe me when I tell you, I've been looking after you way before this was even an idea. I'm not here to promote myself, grandstand. I'm not politically motivated. I just want to represent the voice of the people. If you honor me with number 72 is my punch number on the ballot, November 3rd. Thanks.
Candidate Bristol, yeah?
Yes. I want to say, this is your first opportunity to elect someone who has proven themselves to be willing to fight for people without their pockets being filled. So if you want integrity to fight for you on the inside, being more impactful than it has been on the outside, you will vote for a proven servant, and I rest my case.
Thank you all. Before I turn over the microphone, I just want to say something. Thank you all for inviting me out here. I'd like for the candidates, please thank your voters with a round of applause.
God bless you all.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ed O'Gill. Thanks to the League of Women Voters. Thanks to Florida Majority.
thanks for I Am Coconut Grove. We have one exercise before we leave, and please repeat after me. My vote is my right. My vote is my might. November 3rd, we take destiny in our own hands. This is on behalf of Coconut Grove homeowners, Coconut Grove Village West Homeowners and Tenants Association. The executive committee has brought this to you. Last election, 100 people voted from the Village West. We dare not complain about the conditions that we suffer if we don't show up at the polls. Okay? A little homework. Lose, you lose. Our next meeting, you have to be effectively engaged. It's October 28th is our next meeting. I want to see you all here. But before that, 1 week before that, we have an issue at City Hall, October 21st, regarding some upzoning. We have to remain vigilant. It's a public hearing at 3500 Pan American Drive, and we need to be engaged. I want to thank Mr. Odell and Francine Bandera and Ruth, I can't think of her name, and well, I can see Carl Springer here, but I don't see his president. Where is she? Oh, Valentina Wingfield of I Am Grove. They have a great video out here. Please, I'm going to leave you with that vote. I want to thank you all for coming out. And if there's anything else for the order, Madam Secretary?
Our next meeting is October 26th.
I'm sorry, I'm standing corrected. Next holder meeting is October 26th. Candidates, thank you. Much success. Appreciate you coming out. We'll see you on Election Day. Thank you.